Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today we're tackling a question many of you might be asking. Is Fortress Biotech a good time to buy now? Before we jump into it, remember to subscribe, like, and comment on this discussion. And hey, if there's a specific company you'd like us to look into next, please do leave a comment below. Our mission today is to sift through the latest information on Fortress Biotech, pulling out the most important insights from recent reports, financial statements, and market sentiment to help you understand what's really going on with this company. All right, let's unpack this. Fortress Biotech has certainly been making some waves recently. What's been driving the conversation and, well, the stock's performance in the last few months?
Well, what's fascinating here is the significant momentum we've seen, and it's largely fueled by a few key anticipation points. In September 2025, for example, just on September 5th, actually, the stock price soared over 13% in pre-market trading.
Wow, 13% pre-market.
Yeah, and this surge wasn't just random. It was primarily driven by investor optimism around a very critical regulatory event. The PDUFA date for their Menkes disease treatment, that's scheduled for September 30th.
The PDUFA date. Okay, so that's the FDA decision deadline, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal in biotech, a potential make-or-break moment.
So a big regulatory decision is looming, driving a lot of the excitement. What else has been happening? I mean, have they been doing other things to keep investors interested?
You have, yeah. Beyond that crucial date, the company has been actively engaging with investors. They participated in the H.C. Wainwright 27th Annual Global Investment Conference just this September, looking to showcase their outlook and attract institutional interest.
Right, standard practice, but important.
Definitely. And back in August, they released their second quarter 2025 financial results, updating the market on their development programs and commercial products. We also saw, enhanced investor engagement ahead of that Menkes PDUFA decision. Trading volumes picked up, price volatility increased. It really reflected a lot of speculative interest building.
Makes sense. And July, anything earlier setting the stage?
In July, their subsidiary, Journey Medical Corporation, confirmed participation in multiple investor events, which really points to ongoing efforts to maintain visibility for both their existing assets and their pipeline. This multi-asset approach, particularly in dermatology and rare diseases, that's been a focus of their communications. They're trying to strengthen market confidence, show some diversification.
Okay, so we've seen some positive news, investor activity, building anticipation. What are the next critical catalysts coming up that investors really need to keep an eye on, besides the big one on the 30th?
Good question. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the most closely watched near-term catalyst is definitely that FDA decision on the Menkes therapy, September 30th. Regulatory approval could significantly alter their revenue outlook and, frankly, their whole risk profile.
A game changer, potentially.
Potentially, yes. Beyond that, we have the Q3 2025 earnings release coming up on October 14th. That'll give us updates on commercial execution, pipeline progress, the usual. Then institutional 13F filings for Q3 come out on October 21st. Always interesting to see where the big money is moving.
Yeah, follow the money.
Exactly. And further out, there's the Russell Nasdaq ETF rebalancing on December 6th, which could impact liquidity. And usually, there's a year-end corporate update around December 27th, often including strategic outlooks for the next year.
Okay, that's quite a few scheduled things. But, beyond these scheduled events, are there any rumors or sort of speculative catalysts swirling around Fortress Biotech? Things that could move the needle unexpectedly?
Well, that raises an important question. What's just speculation versus something more concrete, right?
Right.
There's definitely market talk about accelerated institutional accumulation, maybe tied to positive Menkes data leaks or even acquisition rumors, which always fly around in biotech. Another rumor suggests Fortress Biotech might spin out one or more subsidiaries, particularly in dermatology, maybe to unlock some shareholder value.
A spin out. Interesting tactic.
It can be. And industry chatter also hints at, early stage talks with larger biopharma companies, maybe for licensing rights or even an outright acquisition deal on one of their orphan disease assets. And of course, investors always speculate about surprise positive interim data releases from mid-stage pipeline assets that can materially impact the short-term valuation pretty quickly.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit deeper then. We've heard about the buzz, the catalyst, the rumors, but what do the fundamental numbers actually tell us about Fortress Biotech? Let's dig into the financials.
Yeah, and this is where the picture gets, more challenging. For fiscal year 2024, Fortress Biotech reported total net revenue of $98.6 million. That's actually a decrease compared to $133.0 million in 2023. So a 20.1% decline.
Oof, down 20%.
Not great.
Not great at all.
And their gross profit margin for 2024 was only 13.5%. That's significantly down from 26.8% in 2023. So margins are getting squeezed hard.
Wow, almost halved.
Pretty much. And critically, the company reported a net loss of $99.0 million for 2024. That's wider than the $62.6 million net loss in 2023.
So revenue down, profit margin squeezed, and losses are actually widening. That doesn't sound like a picture of robust health. Was there any guidance for 2025? Any light at the end of the tunnel suggested?
No, their 10-K filing didn't provide specific guidance for 2025. And, no material upward trajectory in profitability is indicated in recent filings either, so the path forward looks murky from the filings.
What's fascinating here is how does this financial picture translate to their overall financial health, their ability to just operate day-to-day liquidity?
Yeah, this raises a really important question about liquidity. As of December 31st, 2024, they had only $14.4 million in cash and cash equivalents.
Only $14.4 million.
That's it. And their total debt stands at $106.3 million. That consists of notes and other debt instruments, and it's up slightly from the end of 2023. Now consider this. Net cash used in operating activities in 2024 was a negative $66.8 million. They burned through almost $67 million.
Burning through cash with very little on hand and significant debt.
Exactly. And perhaps the most critical point here, and it's stated right in their report, current cash levels plus expected revenues are not sufficient to fund operations for the next 12 months.
Not sufficient for 12 months.
Correct, which indicates substantial going concern risk.
Wow, that's a serious red flag for potential investors. A going concern warning. What about their competitive position in the market? Do they have any kind of edge?
Well, Fortress Biotech operates in the specialty pharmaceutical and biotechnology sector. They use that hub-and-spoke model through their subsidiaries. But they lack marketed blockbuster products. And they face significant competition from larger, much better capitalized pharmaceutical firms, thus numerous biotech peers. The sources we looked at, they don't cite any durable competitive advantage. No real moat.
So the fundamentals present some pretty significant challenges. How has the stock itself been behaving in the market, especially with all these catalysts and, frankly, the underlying risks?
Technically speaking, the share price has exhibited extreme volatility. I mean, really wild swings. Over the past few weeks, specifically August to September 2025, it's ranged from $2.70 all the way up to $4.10 per share.
Big range.
Huge range. Key support has been observed around the $2.70 9-month level. Resistance seems to be around $4.15.
Okay. What do the indicators tell us about its trend and maybe investor interest or sentiment?
Well, we connect this to the bigger picture. The shares are currently trading below their 200-day moving average, which sits around $4.30.
Below the 200-day, typically bearish long-term signal, right?
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
It indicates a bearish longer-term trend. And the Relative Strength Index, the RSI, it recently popped above 70 following that short-term rally we mentioned.
Over 70 usually means overbought.
Often signals a potentially overbought condition.
Yeah.
Suggests it might be due for a pullback. And implied volatility remains elevated. That reflects the frequent price swings, the low liquidity, and those underlying business risks we just discussed. The market is pricing in a lot of uncertainty.
Here's where it gets really interesting. How does the broader market and maybe even insiders seem to feel about Fortress Biotech, given this mix of news, potential catalysts, and these pretty stark financial realities?
Yeah, looking at recent news and sentiment, it's a mixed bag but leans cautious. While Fortress announced some positive Phase 2 data for cosabelimab in advanced skin cancer back in August 2025.
Okay, some positive pipeline news.
Right. But that persistent going concern warning from their March 31st, 2025 10-K just keeps reiterating the risk of insufficient capital. It hangs over everything. And analyst coverage, it's quite limited. MarketBeat lists only one analyst price target at $5 as of August 2025.
Only one analyst? That's thin.
Very thin. It means there isn't much broad professional conviction one way or the other.
Then what about the insiders, the people closest to the company? Are they buying, selling, sitting tight?
Good question. Insider transactions show no recent insider purchases reported in Form 4 filings since June 2025.
No buying.
No recent buying reported. In fact, one sale was reported by Jen David, who's a director, back on June 3, 2025.
A director selling, no recent buying.
Yeah, it's not typically seen as a strong vote of confidence. And if you look at social media, sentiment is generally cautious to negative. Discussions frequently highlight the bankruptcy risk. That going concern language is definitely filtering down.
So, okay, let's try to bring this all together. What does this all mean for you, our listener, If you're looking at Fortress Biotech, what's the overall outlook and what are the big picture risks for this company?
Over the next quarter, Fortress Biotech's trajectory will be strongly influenced by, number one, the outcome of that Menkes disease PDUFA decision. That's huge. Also, their ongoing investor outreach and the company's ability to execute against whatever quarterly guidance they might give. Now, extraordinary developments, in regulatory pipeline breakthroughs or M&A activity, those could accelerate institutional participation and drive significant price discovery. But those are big ifs.
Right, highly uncertain. This raises an important question. What are the key risk factors that potential investors absolutely need to understand here? Let's spell them out.
Okay, there are several critical risks. Firstly, the stock-specific risks. The severe liquidity and going concern risk we keep mentioning. Material uncertainty about the company's ability to continue operations. That's paramount. Given the persistent cash burn and the debt load, additional dilution is highly likely. Existing shareholders could see their stakes significantly watered down.
Okay, dilution risk is high. What else?
There's also significant pipeline risk. The company relies heavily on the successful clinical development and commercialization of unproven assets. Many drug candidates are still in early stages. Success is far from guaranteed in biotech pipelines.
It's true, the pipeline graveyard is large.
Yeah.
And beyond the company itself, what about the sector-specific risks, just being in biotech?
Absolutely. The biotech sector is inherently high risk. It's incredibly sensitive to regulatory events, clinical trial outcomes, which are often binary, win or lose big in funding conditions. Small or microcap pharma companies like Fortress Biotech are especially vulnerable to market volatility and financing constraints. They don't have the buffers the big guys do.
Okay. After looking at all these sources, the potential wins, the really challenging financials, the market signals, what's the overall takeaway for our listener today? What's the bottom line on Fortress Biotech?
Based on all the information we've reviewed, Fortress Biotech is, well, it's a highly speculative investment. There's really no other way to put it. Our overall rating, looking at everything, would probably be a 3 out of 10.
A 3 out of 10. Why so low?
The rationale is pretty clear, I think. Deteriorating revenue, those negative margins, the widening net loss, and crucially, that explicit going concern warning. These factors greatly increase the funding and dilution risk just in the next 6 to 12 months alone. It paints a very risky picture.
So for someone considering their investment horizon, who is the stock potentially suitable for, if anyone?
Well, the share price's large percentage swings might appeal to very short-term traders, people looking for high-risk, high-volatility plays, maybe trying to trade around news events like the PDUFA date.
So maybe for traders, not investors.
That's exactly. The fundamentals pose significant barriers to long-term investment. So, our recommendation would be it's suitable for speculative short-term trading only. It is emphatically not recommended for long-term investment due to the severe business and capital risks involved. This is not a buy and hold situation based on the current data.
Thank you for joining us for this very detailed exploration. It certainly gives a lot to think about. And here's something for you to mull over. How do you weigh the allure of a potential regulatory win, that big potential payoff, against a company's fundamental financial health, especially when that health is under such significant, clearly stated pressure? Is the potential reward truly worth the risk? We'll see you next time on Investing Talk Podcast.